Hello and welcome to this edition of Product Breakdowns. Now the product I'm going to be breaking down today is our Jitter Jig. I figured it's a great time, put all those shows on in winter when we were just catching the you-know-what out of them on the Jitter Jig and lots of good big fish. The funny thing is, I tell people when I go out, I'm using our Jitter Jig. And they're like, oh yeah, so a chatterbait. I'm like, no, it's our Jitter Jig. Chatterbait, yeah, it's a bladed jig, but people call every bladed jig a chatterbait, mostly because it was the first of its kind, the bladed jig, so it's become the trade name. It's like every stick bait is a Senko. And I'm like, no, I'm not throwing a chatterbait, I'm throwing a Jitter Jig. There's a lot of differences. I mean, we offer a nice flared skirt, we offer a lot of different colors they don't. Our blade is a totally different shape. It has 2 holes in it. It's out of a heavier steel. They use a light aluminum blade. Our blade actually runs further back when you run it. It runs almost vertical or slightly behind the head, which allows it to be out of the way when you're bumping things on the bottom. And most of those shows you see in the way I catch majority of the fish on a Jitter Jig is slow rolling it and running it right on the bottom and bumping things and coming over. And with this blade and the way it runs back from the jig head, all that's hitting when you're going over that stuff is actually the jig head. And we use the big toe, and on this one we actually put a big 4/0 mustad needlepoint hook. But that blade being back, when you're running it and you're bumping things on the bottom, the blade never stops. It comes right over and the blade just keeps going. Some other blade jigs, the blade runs a little bit further forward. It might hit the structure before the actual head of the jig, which will foul it and it'll kind of stop for a sec. Ours keeps wiggling. It might deflect a little bit, but it just keeps going. And this actually comes with our grub trailer, which all those shows I had the grub trailer on. But I found this is a really good night bait. And at night, I actually switch it up. I put on one of our rib minnows. Our 3.5 inch it's the perfect size. The body sits right up to the hook. Just the little tail section sticks out past. And at night, with the blade and that paddle tail instead of the curly, it's just a little more thump, a little more vibration, a little bit different sound for them to hone in on. I would say at night, add the rib minnow, or maybe if the water's really dirty, 6 inches, couple inches visibility, adding one of our rib minnows instead of the grub trailer it comes with is a really good option. It's just a little more sound. It gives it just a little bit more thump than the thump of the actual blade. Another thing is, these things have a certain speed they run. And they run kind of slow to medium. I mean, it's not a fast bait. You can't throw it out and like rip it. It's just the way it's designed, the blade will cut out. You'll be like, oh, this thing doesn't work. Because there's just a certain speed that you have to slow it down to, and it just really locks in, and your pole just goes and even rubs the bait. I mean, it's just, and that's where you run it. Right now we have a 3/8. That's why we're going to do a 1/4.5, so you can run it at that optimal speed. A little further down or a little shallower, depending on depth of the water or weeds or some sort of stick-ups that you're going over. Well, I'm telling you, this thing is just, it's a great bait. And as far as the rod, I fish it on our medium 7 foot. It's pretty much the same rod that I run crankbaits on. I use 17-pound mono. The reel, I actually use one that's 5/3 to 1. It's actually 23 inches per reel handle, a little slower because it's a slower bait and I can reel a little faster and so keep it in that optimal thumping speed range. But I'm telling you, you got to give these things a try. And just because you see us catching on the Jitter Jig, and people go, oh, it's just a chatterbait. It's not. There's totally, like I said, a lot of the colors we offer are totally different. Running that curly tail blade grub on it is really good, especially when the water's a little clear. But it's a totally different bait. It has a totally different feel, has a totally different sound. So just give one a try. Give one of our Jitter jigs to try, even if you fish a chatterbait or other bladed jigs. And I bet you will find that you'll probably catch more on this, especially if you run it in the way we said, just slow it down and get it to that optimal thumping speed. So give Jitter Jig a try. Trust me, you won't be sorry. Hope this helps. Until next time. It's clear, but it's had some wave action. It's got the cloudiness to it. Threw on the new CCB square bill first cast. Caught this nice.
On a star,
probably heavy too.
Traveling sales is my game. I got customers that
first cast, started ripping as fast as I could. Hammered it.